we where we are and what we're sort of thinking about today. And what I thought I would do today is first of all, I wanted to let you all know that I promised you all last week. Now, first of all, let me tell you guys about, in case you don't know, actually give me a yes in the chat if you're aware of the All Black National Convention. How many of you know what the convention's all about? And if you've heard me talk about it, if you've maybe been there before, things like that. And if you've been there, I would like to ask if you can help us by literally telling everybody how much of a transformational experience it is. Like literally how it will change your life. It's not just some goofball stuffy convention. It is literally a family reunion, and it's a family reunion for people that are that believe, that respect Black intelligence, that want to be smarter, that want healthy families, that want good relationships between Black men and Black women, people that want to see Black people build wealth. People that want to see us get educated, our kids get educated, that want to see us just doing better mentally and physically and all this other stuff. And I bring that up because I was watching this video today of just, and I put it on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. I just put stuff up there that I think about, things that I see. And I just saw these young people that were on this show. Anybody seen that dating show where they pop the balloons or something? Like somebody comes in and basically if you pop a balloon, that means you don't like the guy. It's usually every time I've seen it, it's been like two or three women and one guy. But maybe they do it the other way around too. But if the ladies don't like the guy, they will pop the balloon. And so there was a guy who went on the show, and basically I think that when the balloons got popped and they'd asked the ladies like, so what, why don't you like him? And one lady was like, I just don't like it because you're not tall enough and you're this and you're that. And he was really, really hurt. Like you could tell his feelings were hurt. And because he was hurt and he was triggered, he started dissing her back. He said some really nasty things back to her. And then another balloon popped. And this other lady said, they said, well, why did you pop your balloon? She said, well, I kind of liked him at first, but the way he responded to that first lady, I didn't like it because he was kind of sassy and he was this and he was that. And then he gets mad at her, right? And he starts kind of berating her. Well, you ain't all that. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for not being interested in me because you're doing me a favor, right? Kind of like that, right? Like, your feelings get hurt. Somebody disrespects you or whatever, and you want to respond. And then another balloon pops, right? Because then another lady was like, I saw the way he was talking to her, and I didn't like that. So anyway, long story short, it was really interesting because what I really saw is I see like mental health issues there in the sense of like, clearly he was just hurt. His feelings were hurt, his ego was bruised. And so anyway, so he gets on to social media, and this is all on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So he gets on social media and he basically says that he got fired from his job because apparently after a lot of people saw his interaction with the women, they went and got him fired. They were calling his job. I think he was a plumber or something, and he ended up losing his job as a plumber because of this, situation that happened. And I don't know, I just kind of watched it because I'm interested in anything that relates to love and money, and this was a love and money kind of thing where his interactions with women cost him financially because everyone watched how he engaged with the women, and I didn't like his response. But I also didn't. I also empathized. I understood his feelings. He was kind of, you do the tough guy thing because your feelings are hurt, right? You get, somebody jabs you and you're like, oh, I'm tough. I can, you know, and I just thought about that because it really just speaks to this fact that the mental health challenges that we have and the mental health triggers that we have affects how we engage and how we relate to each other. So that defensiveness, thank you, Calvin, comes out because you've got some sort of vulnerability and somebody just stabbed you right in your vulnerability. And so you're like, well, I'm gonna stab you in yours. And so now the ladies are all triggered and they're all mad and hurt that he said these things to the women. And so they're like, we're gonna get you fired from your job, which creates this downward cycle of destruction. It's like and if you really think about this is so interesting. This to me is an example of what they might call escalation. When you talk about conflicts, you have either escalation or de-escalation. And the escalation is that he comes in, something is said to him, he gets triggered, and that escalates. So he escalates by coming back, and then but that then it gets escalated further because then another balloon pops, and it's like pop, 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 right? Like it's like this escalation of these retaliations, and each time it escalates toward him, he's escalating his response, and then the culmination, the nuclear bomb that goes off, in my view, is that he loses his job. And he talked about how many years he'd spent learning how to be a plumber and how good he was at his job, and now he can't eat because of this show. And I really, really want you to consider this, and this will affect your economics, I promise you. People who know how to de-escalate situations or know how to kind of stand down or let go of the tension within a conflict tend to be people who end up better off in business and everything else. They're the ones who can see the problem coming before it arrives. They can see it getting out of hand, and they're the ones who they get called punks and simps because they're the ones who do what J. Cole did. If you follow hip hop, you saw where J. Cole, the rapper, apologized to Kendrick Lamar. The minute he saw he was triggered, he said, "I'm so sorry. You're the one of the best rappers out here. I think you're great." And there were millions of people who said, "You're a punk. You're a wimp. Why would you do that?" Well, he did that because he knew. He said, I don't want this smoke. I don't want this drama. I got other battles to fight. I'm already fighting battles on different fronts. I don't want to fight this one too. This is not a battle that I really want. I'm not choosing to fight you. I'm fighting other things. Maybe I'm fighting my demons. Maybe I'm fighting against oppression or whatever, but I don't want to fight you too. And I want you to think about this from a strategic standpoint. And this, I promise you, we'll get back to the other stuff. Y'all know me. We do economic elevation, and these are all the things that your finance teacher never taught you in school if you ever had a chance to have one. Um, but it's like if you think about this, I study, you guys know I study war. I love to study World War II in particular because it was just so crazy and brutal and extraordinary and just unbelievable. My grandfather was in World War II. I got a funny story to tell you about him in a minute. But anyway, so if you know the history of World War II, you'll know that the reason that Hitler did not win the war was because of something called Operation Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa was when he decided that because he felt like his army couldn't be defeated, he attacked Russia. Russia did not want the smoke with Hitler. They had already signed a non-aggression pact with Germany to say, "Look, you don't mess with us, we won't mess with you. We don't like you, you don't like us, but I don't want to. I don't want to fight you. I got other things to fight." And Hitler, I don't want to keep saying his name because I'm sure there's something in some algorithm or something where I'll get in trouble for saying it. But basically, he didn't want any of those problems, right? So or at least Stalin didn't. But of course, arrogance caused the Germans to attack the Russians, and they ended up getting their butts kicked. I mean, they poked the bear. It got messy, and that's what ultimately was one of the big factors in them losing the war. So here's what I'm saying: people who are not strategic, who play checkers instead of chess, they will fight anybody, anywhere, in any battle. You know people like this. They're willing to get ghetto with anybody. They're willing to go into the gutter with anybody. They will fight anything, anywhere, just to show you that they're willing to fight because they don't want to get called no punk. We call those people the people who want peace. We call them simps and punks. But it's in the extreme of that. The other extreme is that you have people that just want to fight, 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 fight. Well, similar to World War II, when you're fighting every battle on every front and you're not being strategic and selective about which battles you pick, then you're going to ultimately lose. You're going to lose. You might win the battle, but you're going to lose the war because you can't fight 50 battles and 50 wars at once. You can't fight on 50 different fronts. And what you'll notice, and this is why healing is so important when it comes to business and wealth building and everything else, is that the people that haven't healed, the people that have all this undiagnosed, untreated trauma that causes them to destroy relationships, they are constantly fighting with everybody everywhere. Tell me if you know what I'm talking about. Tell me if you've seen this. Somebody that always has an issue, always mad about something, always banging over breakfast, and that's exhausting. That is exhausting. And when somebody behaves that way, I believe that what's going on is really they're fighting something inside themselves. And also it's bad culture that creates that. And this is one of my big beefs with hip hop See, I'm look at me. I'm beefing right now, so because I'm traumatized and triggered. So maybe I need to keep working on voice too. But one of my big challenges with hip hop is that it creates that culture of beefing and battling constantly. So if you go walk over to the internet, you're gonna see beefing and battling all the way across the board. I even saw Neil deGrasse Tyson beefing with Terrence Howard. Are you serious right now? It's like what? That's so weird to me. Well, Degrassi Tyson wasn't really beefing. He kind of just said, "Look, this is what it is," and that's it. Whereas Terrence Howard was pretty mad at him. So anyway, long story short, I encourage you just to kind of think about these things. I think you should be a fighter, but I think that a focused, targeted fighter is more likely to win. So a lot of times when I'm in my right mind, I will strategically avoid certain fights so I can focus on the big fight. My big fight is, the battle against the racial wealth gap. That's a battle that we're winning because I'm focused on that battle. Maybe another battle is oppression and white supremacy. Maybe the battle against ignorance. That's what I want to fight. And then there's the battle against Boyce. The battle that gets Boyce out of bed at 5:30 in the morning or 6, right? Because I get up at 6 today. Maybe it's the battle for Boyce to make sure that he has a good relationship with his wife so that we can maintain our family and our the infrastructure that we're developing. Maybe there's a battle when it comes to growth and mental health. Everybody has battles, so I encourage you pick the battles that matter to you, and the other battles you got to elevate. Consciousness. Remember, consciousness is elevation. So there's economic elevation, which is deeply connected to psychological elevation. Those who psychologically elevate are also better able to economically elevate. Okay, so anyway, moving on to that, from that point, going back to, I always go, I might take you all the way around the world, but I always remind myself to come back to where we started. So the All Black National Convention is a space that's designed around the idea of elevation in every form, spiritual elevation, economic, whatever it is, what health, wealth, relationships, all those things are extremely important. So the convention is for you if you want a family-oriented atmosphere where the goal is to create a better future for your community than the one you had in the past. If you want Black men and Black women to love each other, it's the place for you. If you want us to raise healthy children and have strong families, it's the place for you. If you want our wealth to grow and our income to grow, the convention is the place for you. If you want to be physically and mentally healthier yourself and have awareness of these things, then the convention is the place for you. And the people that we gather are experts in all these areas from our community that put our people first. Brother Nuri Muhammad this year is one of our keynote speakers. He's extraordinary. If you haven't seen him, you got to go look him up. He's amazing. And then also we have another speaker, Lamar Tyler, who is what I call him the Black Millionaire Maker. He's got this amazing group of literally these people that have created businesses in all kinds of industries, and they're very Black first. And Lamar and I have been friends for a long time, and we have probably about another 40 experts that are going to be there, in addition to hundreds of people. Now, here's the thing. I don't want the convention to be a big blowout festival. I don't want thousands of people there who are not ready to be there. It's almost like if you have a convention for medical doctors, you don't want people there who aren't trained in medicine, who just are going to make things up and whatever. You need people that have a certain level of understanding of what the problem is, how to solve the problem, and a commitment and a desire to solve the problem in an efficient way. So my point is this. The convention is going to be sold out. We've got maybe a couple hundred tickets left. Um, and the thing is that when I sell it, I'm not selling it to the world. I'm not offering it to everybody and anybody. I want to come to you guys first, and I'm going to offer you guys a discount. And I'm going to give you a code today that will be in effect, I think, for the next couple of days, where you can get your tickets at a discounted price. And I mentioned to you all, I asked you all that question last week. I said, if I offer you a discount to come to the convention, would you at least consider it? And so you guys will get first dibs. You also got first dibs to apply to be speakers. You also get first dibs to be attendees. After that's done, then we might open up to everyone else, but it will be at a different price point because it doesn't mean other people are not important, but those of you that have been here, you understand the uniqueness of this space. You understand how we see things a little bit different. I want to be advanced. I don't want to be a day late and a dollar short and behind and all this other stuff. So I'd like to spend time around people who are in that same mindset. So anyway, that's my little baby pitch or appeal to you to consider coming. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring people that have the right mindset. because one of the best things about the convention, and I didn't even know this was what was going to happen, but I get consistent feedback where people say the energy here is different from any other Black convention I've gone to. You know, they've gone to the NAACP and the Urban League and Congressional Black Caucus and all that, maybe or Invest Fest or something. And it's just, and not to say those spaces are not good spaces, but they're different from this space. In this space, there is peace, there is prosperity, there is love, there is happiness, there is joy, there is strategy and mixed with a beautiful blend of excitement, and you walk away feeling very enthusiastic about what the future looks like for B1 leaders in the Black community. So higher frequency, thank you. That's a great term to use. Thank you, TK. Yeah, it's just is it TK or TCOY? TCOY Hall. Sorry about that. Yeah, so higher frequency, higher vibration, that higher level. That's what the convention's all about. So anyway, so let me give you the information. Micah just sent me over the code and the information to access. There are different levels of tickets. There's general access, there's VIP, and then there's President Circle. The President Circle tends to sell out pretty quickly. So, but I think there's some general access and VIPs available. And so if you go to allblacknationalconvention.com, that's allblacknationalconvention.com, the code to get 50% off your ticket is 50 off A, B, and C. That's 50 off A, B, and C, all one word. So if somebody could put that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. 50 off A, B, and C. And that stands for All Black National Convention, 50 off A, B, and C, allblacknationalconvention.com. So feel free to go take a look at that. So what I'm going to do also is for the rest of our time, if you have questions, not just about the convention, or you can really ask me about anything. I thought today would be a fun Q&A day instead of me, because I've done enough talking. I've talked for the last few minutes. So I'd like to maybe talk and respond to your questions. So if you have questions about, say, specific stocks or stock options, I'd like to save that for class later on today. If you're in the stock market program, we're going to do a portfolio power play in about an hour and a half. I think it's at noon, or I got to look at the schedule, but I'll be back in for that. So if you go to drboystockmarket.com, that's where the stock market stuff is, or the blackstockmarketprogram.com, THE. The first month is free if you'd like to try that. All right. So yeah, so let's see here. So put your question in the Q&A section and I will answer your question. Okay, Kim Hitchcock says, I have tickets. I want an upgrade. Yeah, I think you can do an upgrade on the page. If you can't, email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. Support at theblackbusinessschool.com. We have a great support team. They're right there and they're waiting to talk to you if you have any questions. Have you heard about David Hawkins' map of consciousness? No, I have not, Calvin. I will look it up though. Thank you for the suggestion. Toya, what should my 13-year-old do daily to prepare to start learning stocks on his own? I think that committing himself each day to at least spending maybe 10 minutes or more, taking in some type of financial information, whether it's like a financial show or reading financial articles or something, is a great way to start. I think also basic conversations, like discussions about what you're learning in this class, I think is very powerful. If you think about it, I mean, this is the reason I created this is because I wish somebody had given me this when I was a kid. If somebody had done this for me when I was 12, I'd be a whole different person. You know what I would have done? I would have been one of those kids that like went to Harvard when he was like 14 years old or something. I would have loved that. I just didn't have anybody guiding me in that direction. But I think I could have done that. I could have gone to college at 14. College is not hard. I was a college professor. It's very easy. If you give me any kid of average intelligence that's 15 years old, and they do what I tell them to do, they can make a B in my class. College, not only is college not difficult, honestly, but they've dumbed it down. They've really dumbed it down. And if your kid goes to college and they're bringing back terrible grades, it's because they're not trying. College is not that hard. I'm telling you. And I know everyone might disagree, or not everyone, but some people may disagree with that because maybe they struggle. The reason it's hard is because I think honestly, American kids are trained to be very lazy. If you go to other countries, my wife taught in Guyana. And when she taught in Guyana, let me just tell you, those kids didn't have half the resources that the kids have here, but I've never seen people more hungry to learn than I did when I was in Guyana. They didn't care. I mean, they were in this hot, non-air conditioned school and with really bad facilities, but they were eager. They were hanging out the door, like sitting on the desk, taking notes, just getting in where they could fit in to get the knowledge. And so if you go around the world, you'll understand why I'm really concerned about the future of American children because we just don't have that here. You know, we will find any good situation and find a reason to complain about it Even when a lot of opportunities in front of the kids, they'll still find some reason to be convinced that they're super oppressed. And I'm not saying that oppression isn't real. It is real, but I also think that there's opportunity. And I think that if you can't see that, if you don't have awareness of the opportunity, then that's a type of oppression. A type of oppression is when someone blinds you to your possibilities. So let me keep going. Next question. Cheryl says, now that Nvidia split, should I buy more and save and how many? I don't give investing advice like that in terms of telling you what stocks to buy. I can say the Nvidia shares I own, I did not buy more. So I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you what I did. And also a stock that I like right now is Nurix Therapeutics. The ticker symbol is NRIX. That's NRIX. And basically that is a stock I bought this morning. So I bought some shares of Nurix this morning. So, and also I have something called What Dr. Boyce is Buying, which is part of the Black Stock Market program. So if you want to do a 30-day trial to see what it's like, just go to the Black Stock Market Program.com, or you can also go to drboystockmarket.com. Michael Ruff, good morning, Doc. What are your thoughts on NIO? Is NRX good for selling covered calls? I don't think it is. NIO is okay, but if you have questions about specific stocks, save that for the portfolio power play. That's later on this afternoon. So let's see here. Tana says, can we make a bust or plaque to award Dr. Anderson from all of us with deepest respect and love? That's a great idea, Tana. Email support at theblackbusinessschool.com, and maybe if you can help us figure out an easy way to get that done, I'd love to actually do that. He deserves it. They're making a movie about him, and actually, I need to get back to the people that are making the film. I was in it, and so I'm gonna invest in it, but the Black Business School will invest, but we don't want any of the proceeds. I want all that money to go to the family, but we will put out money to help the project get done. Let's see. Dwayne says Saudi Arabia just agreed to end the business petrodollar only, in that they have said that they will now accept different currencies for their oil. What are the ramifications of this move? You know what? I've got to go dig into this a little further. Now, by the way, if you have a question, if you can make it a little bit shorter, that way I can get to everybody's question. But I'll look at that first part. So yeah, I would say I'm going to research the petrodollar stuff a little more deeply, but I will say that anything that reduces dependence on the US dollar can be considered to be a threat to the dollar for sure. But if you think that that's going to happen anytime soon, it's just not. The United States just has such a strong economy. It's in fact, in the last couple quarters, the demand for dollars hasn't gone down, it's actually gone up. It's gone up. People are using dollars more than they were using them before. And a lot of it is because the US economy is so powerful. It's literally right now one of the few economies on the planet that's doing well. Like the European central banks are all lowering interest rates because their economies are dying, or not dying, but struggling. The United States is just on top of it. And then how long is that going to last? I don't know. But also, if you go to China, China is struggling right now because they over leverage their real estate market. So there's a lot of dynamics happening around that. At least that's the way things are now. But remember, consciousness and awareness means not just seeing the present, but seeing the future. So I want you to maintain that awareness. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So Kim, you want the upgrade for the A, B, and C? Yes, just email support at theblackbusinessschool.com and they will take good care of you on the upgrade. If you can't, but I think you may be able to upgrade on the page. I'll have to ask Micah, but go to allblacknationalconvention.com and see if there's a way to upgrade. If there's not something there, then you can email support at theblackbusinessschool.com and I'll mention it to the team. Let's see. Are you comfortable releasing your Xbox gamer tag? You know what? I don't know what my Xbox gamer tag is, Robert. I just know that I play Call of Duty with my buddies. We're a bunch of 50-year-old dudes, and because we're old school, like we believe in strategy and working together and planning. We kick everybody's ass. Like we're really good. We call ourselves the Wolf Pack just to be silly and have fun. So we're really good because like kids, they might be quicker like at the trigger and all that, but they don't make a plan. They don't understand teamwork, right? So my buddy Dave, he's a former Marine. Shout out to those who serve the country in that way. And then G Mac is a strategist, and Bernard is just a great team player who's actually come to the convention. If you come to the All Black National Convention, you'll meet Bernard at the convention. I met him online, but he came to the convention. He's a great guy. And so we do really well. So my gamer tag or the name that I have up there is Coco 773. but I don't know if that's how you can look me up, but I am Coco773. The stock pick was NRIX, Nurix Therapeutics. Again, this is not investing advice, but it is a stock that I just purchased today. So I'll be happy to, I'm glad to share that with you. Can you get discounts on hotels, and what hotel is it? Great question, Tana. And yes, you can. The answer is yes. At allblacknationalconvention.com, there should be hotel information there. If you go to the page and you see something missing that should be there, email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. I really stay with the team about making sure that we're on point. We don't just believe in black excellence. We just believe in excellence, period. So if you see something that's less than excellent, you let them know, and I'll talk to them and say, okay, let's make sure this works. Make sure it does what it's supposed to do. But there should be information on allblacknationalconvention.com that talks about the hotel. It's a beautiful hotel. It's the Westin. The rooms are about 130 to 150 per night. We got them to give a discount. The discount won't last, so you want to book your room sooner rather than later. But it's amazing. I went to visit the location. It's just an awesome area. There's a movie theater like right in the same parking lot, pretty much a big gigantic movie theater. But then there's a mall across the street and just all these other things. There's a Target next door if you bring the kids and you want to go over to Target and get some stuff at the last minute or whatever. So it's a great hotel for that. It's built for it's really great for families, but it's also just great to give us a nice, comfortable experience without being overly bougie and overly costly. Uh, okay, so let's see. Next question. Errol, if you had to hold one company stock for the next 10 years, which one would it be? One company, Chipotle or Amazon. Let's see here. How do you feel about Governor West pardons 175,000 marijuana convictions? I think that's great. I think that nobody should be in prison for possessing weed. I think that that's terrible that they did that, and then we're the ones that spent all that time in prison, but other people are making money from it. It's just that's the oppression. If you want to, if you want something to be mad about, I think being mad about stuff like that makes sense to me. Also, I'm really mad about the way people are treated in prison. I don't think we don't talk about that enough. I hope one day we become conscious enough to stop getting mesmerized by one police shooting, because that's the tip of the iceberg. That's not the big problem. The big problem is the torture and the inhumane treatment that occurs once people get behind bars, the amount of assault, sexual assault, stuff like that. And what that does is that brings people out of the system that are worse off than they were when they went in. And then that person who's now mentally ill and probably physically ill, HIV rates shoot up inside the prisons. I don't know if anybody knows that. You think about it. So when black men come home from prison and they've been in prison being sexually assaulted and they catch HIV, who are they sleeping with when they first come home? They're sleeping with black women and some of the men too. So you can really connect. And again, this is a wealth problem because without health, you have no wealth. If your health is bad, then the pharmaceutical companies will take all your wealth. The hospitals will take all your wealth. The whole medical system is designed to extract wealth out of you in exchange for what I would call pseudo health. It's not even real health. You're not really healthy after you take all those pills and keep going to the doctor. They just keep you alive long enough so they can drain you for every penny. So this public health crisis that goes completely unaddressed and undiscussed because everybody wants to just talk about what happened to George Floyd that day. I don't want to debate that. I don't, if you notice, I have never really talked much about the George Floyd incident because I don't think that that's where the problem is. The problem to me is when I go, and I turn on the TV in Chicago and I see little children being shot down by whoever, whether it's police, a gangbanger, or whatever. That always bothers me. I don't care who killed you. I just don't want to see it. And then also, when you think about prison, sure, some people go to prison because they need some time away from society, but they are poisoning some of these people by torturing them so badly that when they come home, they become harmful to others around them. A real life story, true story. And this does, again, all this stuff links back to wealth, mental health, and all that. I hope that we understand that. Let me know if you get this, so you don't think I'm talking, about something unrelated to our economics. It's just I like to look at it in a holistic way. But I knew a lady who prison was generational for their family, and it was in her father went to prison for economic reasons. Again, this always relates to money. Her father was a drug dealer, a big kingpin in Chicago, and he got a lot of time in prison. He's been in prison since the early 1990s. And so she grew up with a daddy in prison. So she has this attraction to men who just got out of jail. So she dates guys, a lot of guys that just came out of jail. And the problem is that not everybody who comes out of jail is a good person, right? Some people, sure, misunderstanding, they've rehabilitated, but some people are not quite, you know, you know what I mean. And so she would have these boyfriends that came out of jail, and then they would babysit her daughters, and her daughters showed every single sign that a child will show when they've been touched by a man, when they've been, molested, right? And she I remember talking to her, one of her relatives, and she said, I can't explain that to my sister. She doesn't get it. She doesn't want to hear me. And I was thinking it's probably because she's also mentally ill and completely incapable of seeing that her child, her both of her children show every single sign, every textbook sign that there is. Because remember, I'm married to a social worker slash therapist, so she can see all the signs that your child's been molested. They check every single box, right? So this is what I mean. This is why the incarceration system and process is something that should concern all of us. And I think that we end up getting distracted by getting mad about a police shooting. And sometimes, if I'm really to be honest, sometimes when the shooting happens, I can't always identify with somebody who's high and drunk or pulled a knife out on a cop or like I don't identify with that. That's because I don't understand that. I'm not saying that it should have happened. I'm saying I don't identify with that. So when you tell me when one guy got shot after he'd shown up at his baby's mama's house with a knife, I where I come from, guys like that get popped. The community handles people like that. The father that raised me, again, who was a police officer, is a guy who says, you hurt a child or you hurt a woman, I'm going to hurt you. That's what I saw growing up. So I can't identify with someone claiming that you're a victim when you were there to victimize other people. I don't. So this is something I can't apologize for, but it's not something I talk a lot about because a lot of people don't understand that nuance. We get caught up whatever CNN tells us to talk about or to care about. That's what we end up caring about. And I think that that's another type of white supremacy that's very, very subtle, but they give you cues on what you're allowed to get angry about. So I don't need anybody's permission to be deeply angry about the way people are treated when they're incarcerated because it's not a system that's built on rehabilitation. And because they ignore rehabilitation, they harm your community because you got a lot of ex-felons in your community who are mentally ill, who are harming and preying on other people. And I saw this close up because I saw my older brother figure, who was my uncle, but he was like my older brother. I saw what prison did to him, and it did not make him a better person at all. It made him a complete disappointment to everybody in his life, starting from his children to every woman he impregnated to me, and I just personally think that these are the little things that we miss in terms of what's happening to our economics in the community. Like we think that it's all about better jobs and whatever the Democrats or Republicans are doing and all these simple shallow things. No, no, no. It's deeply embedded in various aspects of your culture that people don't have the patience nor the consciousness to specifically take the time to address. So that's my speech on that. I'm done. Thank you for listening. Let's see, Jonathan, can you send a link for the power play today? Yeah, I'll send it out to you guys. If you're on the text list, text morning to 87948, and you guys can come to the power play for sure. And if you want to log in and see all the stocks I picked this week, because you guys know I have what Dr. Boyce is buying, you can also log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com. But I'll send you guys a link to the power play once we get out of here. It'll be this afternoon. Let's see, Brandon says, how do I get my money back from a stock that is temporarily untraceable? STB and why? That's a tough one. I would encourage you, whatever brokerage company you use, I would reach out to their tech support and just tell them what your situation is and see if they can help you. Chances are, if a stock is untraceable and you can't get your money back and you can't find out where the stock is, there's a good chance you're probably dabbling with some of these penny stocks. And I'm a big believer that penny stocks are very bad investments. Generally, they look good, but they're very bad for various reasons that involve things like there are certain market mechanics that have to be in place for the market to even be a good market to go into. Think of it like living in a good neighborhood versus a terrible neighborhood. Some neighborhoods you're just not supposed to live in. Some areas are just not livable. Like you can't live in a war zone. So to me, when I see trading in a penny stock, it's almost like I see you saying, I'm going to go build my dream house in a war zone, and that's not safe for you. So you want to trade stocks in a good neighborhood. So trading with Nvidia and Microsoft is like building a house in New York City or something. It's expensive, but but there's infrastructure. A penny stock is like trying to go to Afghanistan or something in the rural part of Afghanistan and building a house out there. You're gonna have a lot of problems that you did not anticipate. So I encourage you to I don't mess with the penny stocks or in the small level, the companies that are on the brink of bankruptcy and they call them pink sheets, over the counter stocks. I don't mess with those. In fact, if you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, that's blackwealthmasterplan.com, there's that free $5 a day plan that is focused on the S&P 500, the 500 largest companies, the 500 best money makers in America, which are among the best money makers on the planet. If you align as much of your fate as possible to the 500 most accelerated money makers in America, you cannot lose. You will win. You will succeed. You will be wealthy. And you don't have to take a bunch of classes. You don't have to be a financial expert. You don't have to pick the right stock at the right time. All that crap, you got to throw it out. Just throw it out the window now. I'm not saying that there's not value in it, maybe to some extent, but I'm telling you that most of the people that bring up financial stuff on the internet, they just confuse you. They bog you down with a bunch of excess BS that you don't need to know. And again, as a financial scientist, as a person who's written research papers, I've written original. Go talk to somebody. Say, have you ever written an original research paper published in a peer-reviewed academic journal on financial strategies or stock markets? The answer is no. None of these people have done this. It's hard to do. So basically, I'm kind of like what Neil deGrasse Tyson does in science. Maybe I'm the Neil deGrasse Tyson of finance in the sense that I think about this from an academic standpoint. When you sort through all the BS, you get down to very basic, very simple, elegant, beautiful theories that pretty much say things that you should be thanking God that I can say these things to you honestly. Things like the efficient market hypothesis basically says that anybody of any intelligence level can pretty much just drop money into the S&P 500 and do that consistently, and they're going to be wealthy in less than a generation. Not even a generation. 10 years, they'll be better off than 95% of all Americans because they'll have $20,000 or $30,000 liquid in the bank. That's what the $5 a day plan is based on. And it comes from the fact that I said, I want to find the simplest thing that anybody can do that will be transformative in their life. So don't think that you have to go and read 50 books to know how to be a stock market investor. You could literally know nothing and learn nothing and do nothing and be wealthier than most people in America if you follow one or two simple basic rules. That's it. And if there's ever an opportunity to overcome white supremacy and racism and oppression and capitalist corruption or whatever, all these things, all these shadows, all these boogeymen that we're fighting, if there's ever an easier way to overcome that, it would be that. That to me that's the North Star. That's our Harriet Tubman moment. That's how we get the hell up out of this nonsense. So do that for yourself. And then as you build that wealth, you pass it to your kids and 95% of their economic problems will disappear. So feel free to go to blackwealthmasterplan.com if you have not done that yet. That's where the $5 a day plan is. If you want to go deeper into stock market investing, I did a whole stock market investors weekend that you can find at thedrboycemethod.com. That's thedrboycemethod.com. All right. So Regina says, should I sell stock options via Charles Schwab or Robinhood? In the Prime program, I teach with Robinhood, and so I just like it for the simplicity. But you can do it on Schwab too. I have a student I work with a couple times a week with one-on-ones, and he uses Schwab, and so that got me some familiarity with Schwab, and it's a great platform. And by the way, if you want to do things like one-on-ones or VIP meetings or something like that, just email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. They can set you up. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Yusuf, would you recommend paying off debt in full or paying minimum payments if you're trying to build credit? Um, you know, minimum payments can build your credit, but at the same time, though, it can be very costly because paying the minimum payment means you're going to get hit by a ton of interest. and that's how the banks make their money, is getting you to make the minimum payment. So I'm not a big fan of that. But I think that you can build your credit just by paying your bills on time, and so I don't believe in carrying a bunch of debt just to build credit, though. Let's see here. What's the website for the convention again? Ask Renee. It's allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. If somebody could type that in for me, I'd appreciate it. And and what was that code to save 50%? What was it? Could somebody give me type the code in the chat? Because I don't have it in front of me. I think it was like 50 off A, B, and C. I think that's what it was. All one word. So feel free to use that code. Travis, are you familiar with Ryan Leslie's financial training? It would be cool for you to see you two work together. I've heard about Ryan Leslie. I heard he's in the music industry. Thank you, C man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I heard about him years ago, and it sounds like he's doing really good stuff, especially for musical artists. Musical artists need to learn financial stuff because that industry just kicks their butt. Because the music industry has a very high level of financial awareness. Those guys, when NWA started and Jerry Heller brought that group together, his financial awareness was here. Their financial awareness was, not quite there. Ice Cube had high financial awareness, but everyone else didn't. And that's why they signed those crazy deals. And then also, if you know that story about New Edition and how they went on that world tour and has sold out stadiums all around the globe and got a check for $1.87 after the tour was over. That was where financial awareness disadvantages came into play. They were 12-year-old kids from the projects, and they didn't have good mentors around them or anybody around them who knew how these things worked. So they end up getting exploited in a major way. So when you're not aware, when you don't have consciousness about something, that opens you up to being exploited by people that are watching you. And one of the things that has to occur, the reason Black economic consciousness must rise is because people extract wealth from the Black community by studying you like you're rats in a lab. Like they look at you and they're watching your every move, and you're not watching anybody's moves. You're not even watching your own moves, or you're at least that's the way we're trained anyway. We're just moving, we're just living. So if you imagine a man who's conscious of watching a group of sheep or something, the sheep are not watching anything. The sheep are just being sheep, but his consciousness, he can see himself, but he can also see the sheep as a collective. So he has a perspective that allows him to understand, okay, all the sheep, when the wind is blowing this way, they go that way. If I put the food over here, they'll all go that way. If the sheepdog, moves them in this direction, they'll all go south or north or whatever. So what I want you to do is I want you to elevate the consciousness so that you don't end up sort of being exploited that way. You should at least be conscious of other people's consciousness, right? Like they know things, but you should know what they know. And then maybe they know that you know what they know. And then when they know that you know what they know, then they don't want to talk to you no more. Right. So that's where my consciousness is when it comes to those who seek to extract wealth from the Black community is I know what I know. I know what they know, and a lot of times they know that I know what they know. So that's why when a presidential candidate wants to sit down and talk to someone about Black economics, he doesn't want to talk to Dr. Boyce. He doesn't want to talk to Dr. Claude Anderson. He wants to talk to Cardi B or whatever. He wants to talk to a rapper because he knows that rappers don't have a very high level of economic consciousness. And I think I told you about that. It sounds like I'm bragging a little bit. Maybe I am, but you remember when Charlemagne the God interviewed Joe Biden and asked him those really poignant questions about economics and asked him, or just Black people in general and what Black people should expect and all sorts of, and Biden got really upset and he said, "Well, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't Black." And I think because it was a year later, or a couple years later, I could tell people this, but right before that interview, I had text Charlemagne and told him what questions to ask. And so some of those questions he asked were questions where I specifically said, okay, ask him about this, ask him about this, ask him about that. And when he asked him those questions, he blew a gasket because he wasn't used to Black men in entertainment collaborating with Black scholars and Black thinkers. But this is nothing new. Farrakhan has been doing this with entertainers for a long time, where they strategize behind closed doors. The revolution doesn't always need to be televised. In fact, I think about the Celtics player Jaylen Brown. I love Jaylen Brown a lot. He's one of my favorite athletes of all time. Not be just because he was the Finals MVP, which is amazing for him. I'm really happy that he won the championship. But he's super, 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 super smart. He's also super, 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 super Black. So if I was ever to construct just the perfect Black man in terms of what I dreamed about, what my dream is, is that we have a community with like 10 million Jalen Browns. You know, like if we had 10 million Jalen Browns, we couldn't be stopped because sure, he's a great athlete, he plays sports and he's competitive, which is great, but he also is super strategic and intelligent, and he cares about his community. So all of his wealth, his power, his capability is going to be targeted in the right direction. He's not distracted. Because remember, you had other great black athletes. You had OJ Simpson, and but OJ was taking all of it. He was giving his best to somebody else. He was taking all the things that could have made him special and applying it in a different direction. Jalen Brown of the Celtics is, to me, he's in that tradition of the Muhammad Ali, where you have the greatest athlete on earth, one of the greatest athletes on earth. Ali was the greatest. Brown is one of the greatest. I mean, he's the Finals MVP, which makes him the best player in the NBA Finals. And he also just really is focused and targeting his energy in a good way. So I'm excited to see what he does, you know, and I think that he should have people, smart people in his corner, smart people that are not trying to get things out of him, that are in his corner, that give him advice on how to use that enormous wealth and power that he's accumulating. But he also has to, in my view, remember that the revolution shouldn't be televised. So I don't think he has to let everyone know, all those, you know, all those racist Celtics fans know exactly who he's consulting with, because at some point they're going to use that against him, right? So I don't want them to do to him what they did to Jim Brown and stuff like that. I was on the faculty of Syracuse, and it's a shame how Jim Brown was the greatest athlete in the history of Syracuse. And I watched a movie about Ernie Davis, who won the Heisman after he played after Jim Brown. Jim Brown recruited him to Syracuse. And in the Ernie Davis movie, they painted Jim Brown in a really negative way. But yet they painted Ernie as the good Negro. And then Jim Brown was just this crappy, terrible guy. And Brown was just such an athlete. He was kind of like the Wilt Chamberlain. He did in football and track and everything what Wilt Chamberlain did in basketball and track. I mean, these guys are just superhumanly talented. And so anyway, let me keep going here. All right. So Lydia Crowder says purchase 100 shares to actively learn how to sell options more efficiently or reinvest dividends in dividend paying companies. It depends on what you want to do, Lydia. If you sell options, I think you just want to make sure you know how to do it in a way that's going to work for you. If you log in at drboyceprime.com, there's a list of what I call Dr. Boyce money makers, which are stocks that are great for selling options on, and I rank them every month in terms of which ones generate the most income. So selling options is a great way to generate income, but it comes with pros and cons. Dividends are slower and lower. It's hard to live off of dividends because you got to own a lot of stock to make an adequate amount of money from the dividends. But selling options, you don't need a massive capital base to generate good income. If you want to take a look and just be introduced to what we do with selling options, just go text the word money to 87948. And if you text money to 87948, I'll send you a training called How to Make Money Without Working. Why don't you contact Jalen Brown? Uh, I have no comment, Tana, because the revolution cannot be televised. Tiffany Anderson, do you think the US dollar is based on oil since gold stopped backing it in the 70s? No, it's not based on oil. The US dollar is not based on anything. It's just based on people believing in the government. So yeah, so there we go. And but I think it's based on the military. I think the military defends the dollar. So let's see here. Does the 50 off sorry, Henry, I don't see your question, brother. I apologize. Oh, means is that does 50 off code work with the discount given on the website? I don't know if there's a discount given on the website, but I don't know. You have to give it a try. I'll check with Micah to see what I just told her that I wanted to offer you guys a discount for the convention. So if you use 50 off A, B, and C, all one word, then that will get you the discount that she's offering. If you have any issues at all, email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support at theblackbusinessschool.com. How far is the hotel from O'Hare? I think it's about 20 minutes away. There's not a shuttle though, but it is about 20 minutes away. So you take a short little Uber ride. Will you be attending the Dr. Fraser Power Networking Conference in Charlotte? Yes, I will. That's going to be around July 10th. I'm only going to be there for one day though, because I got to go to see my daughter the next day. So, but I will be there for one day. Let's see. Paris says, with kids being out for the summer, how about some teen sessions for children interested in financial consciousness? That's a good point. Right now, I tell you, it takes a lot for me to do this one class. Um, So I just tell parents, bring your kids. If you want your kids to see and hear what we're talking about, bring it and maybe talk to them about it. I think that adult conversations, I think kids can understand adult conversations. I really do. I don't think it has to be specifically a kid-based conversation. I think that kids can learn a lot listening to adults talk about real life. So bring your kids if you want to. I think that's fine. Some of you are already doing that. That's why I try not to cuss. And then in terms of stuff for children, if you go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com, there's a massive digital curriculum that will be great for the summer to keep your kids busy and to give them their baby bachelor's degree in, say, stock market investing, or they can get a baby bachelor's degree in crypto. I don't have one for options yet, but now that I think about it, we should have that. We got one in real estate, stuff like that. So that's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. Also, if you go to drboycebooks.com, at drboycebooks.com, there are financial flashcards. They cover a lot of functional areas. Even my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, I made flashcards so you can learn the key concepts from that book. Because a lot of these concepts in the book are things that you're not going to find in a textbook anywhere, because they have to be specifically tailored for Black, but for Black economic experiences. Now, Pedro says, stop calling children kids. I can't call them kids no more. Is that not politically correct? I used the word midget the other day and I stopped myself because I'm not supposed to say midget. So is kids like bad or something? I maybe am I calling them baby goats? I apologize if I offended you with the word kids. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna try my best not to. I can't. So Pedro, I love you, man, but I'm gonna keep using the word kids. So anyway, let me keep going. Kids are baby goats. Okay. Anyway, Marcia says, if the American economy is strong, will it stay strong regardless of this year's election? Yeah, I think so. I think the Democrats and Republicans, one thing they have in common is the they care about money. So they're not gonna let the money go down. So that's a fact. Morning seven at 87948. It's blocked. Is it blocked, Kevin? If I say text the word morning to the number 87948, if you type morning 87948, it won't do anything. But if you type the word morning in your phone and then text that to the number 87948, it should let you onto the list. If it doesn't, let me know. I met a brother in the gym yesterday and he tried it right there and it seemed like it worked okay. If it doesn't work, you can also go to drboyceelevate.com. That's drboyceelevate.com. Okay, thank you, C man. I appreciate that. All right, so let's see here. T and O says, will you please repeat the stock you bought earlier? Yeah, it's Nurix Therapeutics, Nrix, Nurix Therapeutics, Nurix is the name of the company. The ticker symbol is NRIX. What time is the power play meeting today? I think it's noon. Let me look to see and check my calendar. I think it's noon or maybe let's see, today's Tuesday, right? Okay. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, noon. Noon Eastern. Noon Eastern. So I'll send you guys a link right after we get out of here. Audrey, is there an S&P 500 stock or ETF that is more affordable? The one I see is $5,481 per stock. Well, you know what, Audrey? It doesn't matter what the cost of the stock is because you can buy fractional shares. So you can just decide how much you want to invest. And even if the stock costs $100,000, you can still buy $5 worth, $50 worth, $100 worth. And you're still getting a great investment. If it's a great company, that's what matters. It doesn't matter the stock price. So sometimes people will buy stocks that are $2 or $7 because they feel like that's what they can afford. Because they're like, well, I want to own a whole share of the stock instead of a piece of a share. But you're getting the exact same magnitude of investment because the company that charges $5 a share, they might have 100 million shares outstanding, whereas the company that charges $1,000 a share may have literally 1,000 times less shares outstanding. So if I put $50 into that stock, I'm getting the same bang for my buck in both cases. It seems different, but it's not different. It's just a magic trick. It's an illusion. Stock splits are basically an economic illusion. And because people believe it works, it ends up kind of working to boost the price a little bit. But for the most part, it doesn't mean anything. So, but if you're looking for ETFs that don't cost a lot, I don't know. I don't have anything in mind that I can remember right now. I did make a list of stocks that that you can get for under $10, but that was something I sent out a while back. So yeah, so I apologize, I don't have anything in mind, but don't worry about it, just fractional shares. That's what you do. All right, a couple more stocks. I have a couple more questions, and then we'll bounce out for today. Penny stocks and fractional shares, are they the same? No, they are not. I have no experience. I want to invest. Do you have a 101 class of stocks? Yes. Type this in the chat. It's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month is free. It's either free or it's $1. So you can try it out. There is 7 years worth of lectures and material. I bet you there's 500 lectures in there. If you want to go through them all, you probably won't be able to, but that's okay. If you go through like five, you're going to know more about stock market investing than 90% of society, I promise you. But if you go through a bunch more, or if you are in your car and you just want to play them on audio, speed it up to 150% so you can go through as much material as possible, you will know your stuff. You will know your stuff very well. We've done stock market weekends, things like that, where we put that material right in there. So if you want to start with the very basics, that stuff's available. More advanced stuff is available. Also, if you're not sure which stocks to look at, I literally do something called What Dr. Boyce is Buying every week, where I pick a bunch of stocks and I put them in there and I say, these are stocks that I like. Feel free to go take a look. I cannot give investing advice because I didn't get that particular license, but I did get a PhD, which means I know what I'm talking about. So I can't tell you what to buy, but I can tell you what I bought for myself. Let's see. Is TradeStation a good platform for buying stocks and selling options? I don't know much about TradeStation, Lisa. I can't vouch for the quality of that because I haven't even heard much about it. Let's see. What do you think about investing in Miso Robotic? I don't have the stock in front of me, so I can't really speak to that. But if you bring that to the power play, I can look it up for you. How much does it cost to do a one-on-one with me? I can't remember the cost. It's like a few $100s though. It's not cheap. So the one-on-ones are really for those that really want to they have important investing decisions to make. You want me to look at your specific case and you want to sit and talk for 30 minutes. I think the 30 minutes it's about 4.99 or something like that. And I think for an hour it's like 8.99 or something. And so it's not cheap. And it has to have a price point because, we have to pay people in the Black Business School. And also my time is super, super limited. And in fact, I can only do like one or two one-on-ones in a given week anyway. So if that's a lot, that's okay. There's classes and stuff. There's a ton of stuff that we do. But if you want to do a one-on-one, then that is available and you can bring your spouse and I do a lot of these. They've proven really valuable, particularly when it comes to selling stock options. So like prime students have done one-on-ones, and in 30 minutes, I can pretty much point you to where the money is. And so that's one of those situations where literally, if you have a little bit of a capital base and you're like the question becomes like, okay, how much money would you like to be able to bring in every month? And again, there's no guarantees because markets go up and down, but I can literally point you to stocks that you can sell options on that day that will generate a certain amount of money and help you achieve a specific financial goal. So if income is the goal, you want to make enough money to quit your job or pay all your bills, and you've been a saver, or you got money in your 401k or access to money from a HELOC or something, you'd be amazed at what you can do in that situation. So I love those one-on-ones. But then generally, sometimes people want to ask me questions about their business or other investing strategies. So that's what we kind of do. The floor is really yours at that point. Terrence, XRP is performing better. Is it a good idea to buy a great deal of more shares? XRP is the new Bitcoin. I don't think it's the new Bitcoin, but I have heard great things about XRP, which is one of the cryptos. And I'll tell you, I made a lot of money off XRP. I might buy some more. I sold it when it got out of litigation. I sold it, but I may buy some more. Last question. Lisa, can you sell options on Nvidia stock? Yes, you can, but it did not make the list of money makers, but yes, you can. Just like Barack Obama said, yes, yes, you can. All right, so a couple more things. Number one, if you want to join the Portfolio Power Play today, I will send you all the link right now. If you're not on the text list, text the word morning to 87948, and I will send it to you. If you type morning in your chat or in your text message, and then text that to the number 87948, I'll send it to you. Second of all, if you want to get the discount on All Black National Convention, I think it's going to be available for 48 hours. So, and you guys get it first. And then if we sell out with you all, then no one else outside of this space will be able to buy tickets. So if you'd like to go to take a look and see what we have with the convention going on this year, it's going to be in Lombard, Illinois, right outside Chicago, not in Chicago, but right near Chicago. So you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com and you can actually look up the code or type in the code 50 off A, B, and C, all one word, 50 off A, B, and C. And then, I look forward to seeing you at the convention. I hope you'll bring your family too. It's a great family reunion. And I really love it when people bring their kids and they bring their spouses or they bring their best friend. And I guarantee you, if you bring a friend just so they can see what it's like, it's almost completely guaranteed your friend is going to say, "Oh my God, this changed my life." Like that's how powerful it is. The dates are October 25th through the 27th. I will be there. And actually, for the first time this year, one of my girls is going to be on a panel. She's in education. She's getting her doctorate in education, and so I'm super excited about seeing her on our education panel. So we're gonna have some awesome, but we have like about 40 other experts that are coming there. So it's a really exciting time. All right, so have a good day, everybody. God bless you, and I will see you all either in the portfolio power play at noon, or I'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good day.